Hi there, and welcome. Now it's time for America's favorite podcast, Leave Your Mark, with your host, Vince Cortese.
If it's fly, loose fitted, it's Cortese. If freeze and chub is in it, it's Cortese.
Leave Your Mark is about inspiring the world, one guest at a time.
Pass the word from Brooklyn to Pittsburgh, from urban to suburb, it's Cortese, you heard?
And here is our host, Vince Cortese.
This is Leave Your Mark. I'm Vince Cortese, and today's guest is Fiona Ubisis. She is from South Africa, Johannesburg. She is a podcast host of Ladies Checking In, and she's a mother of one, and she is a breast cancer survivor. Thank you for being here today. And share with us a little bit. So you just finished treatment yesterday, right?
Yep.
Okay, now we'll kind of get into the details of that, but you said you were feeling much better after your last treatment than you had in the previous one. So kind of share with me, I want to touch for real quickly on your family. You grew up, you had two brothers.
Yep.
Your mother and father, your father is a police officer and he was shot and killed.
Yeah.
And then you had a stepfather and his name was Patrick.
No, so Patrick was my real dad, my biological dad, is the correct word. And then my stepdad, his name was Samuel.
Okay. And then you grew up in the youth. So you had a spiritual and cultural and a traditional church upbringing.
Yeah.
Graduated high school, and then you worked in a career job at a call center to start your working career off. And then you later went to schooling and you found out what your real life's endeavor was. So share with me from the point of when you get your degree in high school and life is beginning.
Yeah, no, adulting is the toughest stage of our lives, and we're always told that we never really understand what they mean. But finished high school. Obviously, every child's dream is to be able to go to university and further their studies. But I knew I didn't have that opportunity because I knew financially at home there was just no way. So I just decided to get a job at a market research company as a call center agent. So that's what I did. Got a promotion in like 3 months to being in the reception area. So I was their receptionist because they liked the fact that I'm not a shy person, very, very open, and I'm very outspoken. From there on, I was getting paid quite well. So I decided, no, you know what, let me just try to go to school. I went and I registered. Everything was just really looking up. And in the following year, I started school. So I went to a media school because I've always wanted to be a radio presenter. I've always wanted to be also on TV. So I started studying. And when I was studying, I started getting opportunities for TV. So I was doing quite a lot of commercials. And then I was able to work at a community radio station. So it was going really quite well. With the job that I had, I started traveling quite a lot. So that became a bit of a challenge for me to be able to continue with school. And also, when I think what happened to me, I lost my job. Yeah, so they couldn't renew my contract. And then after that, I still had some savings, so I was able to still continue at school. But then I was also still doing the adverts on the side. So I got quite a good gig, got paid quite well. So I was able to push my studies. Second year, it started becoming really difficult because now I'm living off my savings. School, everything, it became really difficult for me. I couldn't really go on anymore. So I had to quit media school, which was the toughest thing to do. And I was also now starting to be dead as well. So that became a challenge. Soon after that, I
go here from school till you bridge the gap of getting back on track with the media. So you mentioned to me that you had a lot of people telling you how beautiful your voice is and that you should be on radio. And
Really.
doing, and it seems like, things are falling apart here in the moment. So how did you collect yourself and get going after all of that had happened?
It was really difficult, honestly. It didn't make sense how it's almost as if you have everything on the palm of your hand, and then you just lose it so fast. And then you start obviously questioning, are you on the right track? Is this really where you need to be? You start questioning your decisions, and you just obviously also, I don't really have much support from family. So I'm just making all these decisions alone. No one's really assisting me. So I then continued, I got another job at another market research company, and I was working as a quality assurer. So it was a call center as well, but a very small one. It was just very intimate. We would call interviewers to check whether or not they were interviewed by the field workers. So it's just to just confirm a few things, few questions and whatnot. That's what I was doing. I pushed on, and I know my contract also ended because it was a very short-term contract. Um, yeah, I think from there on, I think this was 2015. So it became a bit very difficult for me. So I just got back home and I sat. So I was just going for auditions, and nothing really much was working out. I didn't understand what was going on, but I just kept going. I just kept just being me, and I would just think of selling certain things. So I'd sell fabric, different types of fabric from different African countries, Ghana, from Nigeria, and Tanzania and Mozambique. So I would sell fabric from those different countries. I travel now and again. It was really working out.
But you came across a friend of yours, Bindao, and he had a podcast himself. And you mentioned that he was
So this was last year. Yeah, so this was last year now. So now last year, I started to go at work and work for Nike store. That's where I met Bandile, and he's got a very, very, very deep voice as well. So he's got a voice that is just, there's no way you can ever miss that voice. So we just got along. I don't know. We just literally clicked. He's a very good friend of mine now. And he said to me, so every time, literally, I would be chatting in the store, customers would be like, your voice, the way you project, the way you speak, you've got authority when you speak. You should be on radio. You should be on radio. Everyone just kept saying on radio. And also another thing in my country, I don't know if it happens in other places, but I've had opportunities where I could work for proper radio stations, very well-known radio stations. But so you'll find someone who sees a potential in you. You go there, and they promise you all these things. They interview you, and then when it's time to sign the contract and everything, finalize things, they would start asking for weird favors. So for me, that's where you then have to stand up and remember your values and who you are and what it is that you stand for. And for me, I was like, you know what, I'd rather not be where I want to be if it has to be this way. So I've had those opportunities about 3 times, and it really, really crushes your spirit. So Mandilia was like, you know what? I hear these people speak about radio. I know you've tried also getting onto radio. You've sent your audios, you wait for interviews, you always, but somehow it just never really works out. How about you start a podcast? And I said, you know what? I've heard a lot about podcasts, but I've never really known how it works. So for me, in my mind, podcasts, you need like fancy equipment. You need all these cool stuff to be able to record, and he was like, no, actually, I'll teach you how to do it. We went right into it. It wasn't difficult. He found me. He said, I know someone who shares in the same values as you do. So I think you guys would click very well. So because we were just going through COVID as well, her name was Mbali. He gave me her contact. She started talking to me. She was going through marital issues. I mean, we're so young still, and we're facing all these challenges that it doesn't make sense to us. But we were able to just comfort each other, and then started recording before we even met. So we used a certain app called Anchor, and then we would just record by Anchor, and then we would send the audio, and Dylan would edit that for us. And yeah, we just kept pushing.
Well, the idea there that you just kind of started, and that's probably the most important part because you'll figure things out as you begin to get more experience with that. But the great news is that your previous experience, I believe, had some influence in the title of your podcast called Ladies Checking In.
Connect with us on LinkedIn. Be our friend on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
Whether jumping out the MP or jumping on the app.
You are listening to Vince Cortese. We just want you to leave your mark.
So can you share with me what your podcast is about in a little bit more detail?
So Ladies Checking In, like I always like to explain that it's all about women. So it's all about sisterhood. It's basically sharing experiences as women. I always say my podcast is very, very authentic and very raw because we're sharing experiences. It's nothing formal, nothing scripted. It's basically sharing life experiences to show other women that we actually are going through the same type of challenges, and being able to share your story and the things that you experience, you realize so many people have a lot to relate. And I would get feedback like, this is so different. We've never seen something like this in our country before. You know, the way you do things, the way you speak, the way you're doing things. It's just, I can relate so much to what you're saying. So that already with my first episode, I was getting a whole lot of feedback, and it gave me that faith to say, okay, I really want to do this for my sisters. Let's do this together. So they would share also what it is that they would like us to talk about. So we want to talk about things, but also mostly in things that we've experienced. It makes it easier. But if it's a certain topic that we really cannot relate much to, we then find a co-host that will come through, and then they'll share their story. Maybe someone went through a divorce, and they still like co-parenting, all types of experiences that we women go through, from just being a young lady to be a mom, or to be a girlfriend, to be a wife, to be just yourself, to be a daughter, being a sister, being a colleague, being whatever that you are. So yes, that's what Ladies Checking In is all about. It's basically checking in on other ladies, what they're going through, what's happening, and we also get to share our experiences.
This is awesome because you're a wheel in motion and your topic is supporting other women, and you now have the new information that you find out you have cancer. So share with me the initial response when you were told you had cancer, and then the steps that you decided to take in order to deal with it.
Yeah. So I was diagnosed in January. It was obviously a very scary thing to find out. It was really scary for me. I think that very moment I went into a very dark place. I remember, when you would watch a movie and you would see someone speaking to them, and they kind of they go into this trance, and then it's just like you're hearing blah, blah, like you can't literally, I faced that moment. I experienced that moment firsthand where after hearing the words cancer, it's just like, I don't know, I disappeared in the room, and I just could hear people speaking, but I could not hear what they were saying, because for me already fear took over that very moment. So you now have all these questions in your head. Am I gonna die? Like, this is usually the first thing you're gonna ask. Am I gonna die? And that's when you realize that actually we don't know much about these things. We don't have much information about it. It was very scary for me. I know that very first week was the toughest. I even had like a mild stroke. I had to be rushed to hospital. So my left side, which is the side that has the lumps and stuff, the left side went numb, and it was like twitching. It was twitching unstoppably. I know. So it was twitching and my arm started twitching, my shoulder started twitching. It was kind of shifting, my face was kind of shifting to the left-hand side. It was a strange thing to experience. I had never experienced something like that before. I was rushed to hospital so that they could just help calm me down and just help me. But it helped. That's when they decided to re-biopsy again. So they re-biopsy, they re-biopsied the breast lump since it was a sleeping cancer at first. So when they re-biopsied, they realized that the cancer was up. And also I had another lump in my armpit. And now I had another lump in my groin. So now it was just starting to get scary that what's going on now is it like fast spreading? What's happening? It was just too much. It was a lot happening at the same time. They realized, you know what, your cancer is fast spreading. We need to get you on treatment. At the same time, I'm still young. I just have one child. So they want to do some egg freezing just in case the chemo affects my womb and stuff like that. They were also very scared for me. I couldn't do the egg. It was too expensive. It was too expensive. So we had to cancel that part of things. And we went ahead, started with the chemo. This was in March. Started with my first chemo, AC chemo.
Now, how long did you know prior to that you had the cancer? You had like a 60 or 90-day wait before the chemo started with it spreading?
So with me, we couldn't do that waiting period where they really would give you time to process and whatnot. So I had to literally get on chemo as soon as possible. So the only thing that we were waiting for was to see if medical aid can pay for my egg freezing and stuff like that. That's when the bad news came to say, no, not yet. We don't have that in the plan, in the cancer plan as yet. So I had to accept that. And I was like, you know what? I know I don't have 50,000 rand in my account saved. So I have to accept that and really just get started. And I was like, you know what, God, you are putting me through this. So you'll get me out of this. If I don't have kids in the future, that's your will. I'm okay with it. But at least I'll know that I have saved my life. So they told me you're going to have 16 sessions of chemo. First 4 would be the AC, namely the red devil, because apparently it makes you extremely sick. And then the last 12 would be the Taxol chemo, which will be weekly. So really, I started with that first chemo. It was just after my birthday, 2 days after my birthday. I started the chemo. I actually asked them to wait until my birthday.
And how old were you?
I'm 28. So I was turning
Okay,
28.
okay.
Yeah.
So
So I started with the chemo. As soon as I started, oh my goodness, the first experience was a nightmare. It was the worst. I tried that day. I literally got so angry. You know, I got angry at myself, angry at God, angry at everything. I was just like, I am such a kind-hearted person. I love people. I live for people. You know, why am I going through this? I don't deserve this, you know. It was just so scary. It was just so unsafe, you know. I went through that. I was so sick. I could not walk, could not do anything. Could not even just get off the bed without being helped. You know, help to the bathroom, food had to be brought to me for me to just take a shower. You know, I couldn't do that for myself. That went on for like 10 days.
oh my.
After that 10 days, I got so sick I couldn't breathe. I had to be rushed to hospital. I was at the hospital for like a week. They were trying to check. My blood count was super low. My immune system was just a mess. Everything was just like going left very fast.
If you are listening from Australia, Florida, or just from around the corner,
From East Coast to West Coast outlets, if you're not to the dirty South straight, make a left and body.
contact us. Leave your mark with your host, Vince Cortese.
How are they monitoring? Like, you're doing the treatments, are they checking to see if they're slowing the metastasizing of the cancer, or is it's stalled, or does it look like the treatment is working at this point? Because it's still almost too new to rate with only 2 weeks into treatment. It
Exactly.
some serious mental trauma here.
Reactions. Yeah. So it was really scary. They checked what was crazy, when I was in hospital, they checked the lump because I went for a scan. And imagine just after that one station of chemo, the lump was shrinking already.
That's good.
So that was
That's
just the greatest thing for my doctor. He was like, you know what, listen, I know it's really bad, the effects and everything, but guess what? We are getting a very good reaction, meaning we are on the right chemo and we are on the right track. So we have to try and push from here. So
how
it
did you
was
feel at that point? That was a great piece.
I was so angry. Oh my goodness. I was just so mad. And I'm like, I'm only on 1 of 16. 1 of
Okay.
16. So it's still like a long way to go. So I'm just like, oh my word, I don't want to do this anymore. I remember at some point I was like, can we not do this? And they're like, we cannot not do this. Because then the breast was extremely swollen. Like I said, it was very big, obviously big. So I couldn't really wear a tight top. So it was really swollen. I know right after my second chemo, I had to go for the chemo port to get the chemo port.
Mhm.
And I had to go for that surgery. I went. Um, I didn't have really a bad experience. It was just after the surgery that the nurse literally left me to die because after surgery she was supposed to elevate the bed. She forgot to do that, and I was still in and out of consciousness. So I was choking from um, saliva, and I was choking also from um, the what's this, the throwing up because I had nausea. Apparently, you get that after surgery. I didn't know that, so I was choking and I was in and out of consciousness. So I couldn't shout for help. She didn't give me the remote. It was such a scary moment of my life. Um, but another nurse walked in on time and she realized something was wrong and she was able to assist me. But yeah, the healing process of the chemo port was a long process as well. But I was able to make it to my next third chemo, which was like, it was every 3 weeks.
Okay.
So I went for my third chemo. Third chemo, funny enough, what was not as bad for some weird reason. So normally I get out of the hospital through wheelchair, all the works because it really, really hits you. But on that third one, I don't know, for some reason my body was strong enough. I remember my sister-in-law came to pick me up and she was so shocked because she was like, oh, because my husband had traveled. She was like, I was told you're going to be weak and you look way stronger than you normally, you know. I was like, yeah, I'm also very shocked. And the next day was my son's birthday, his second birthday. So we were able to go to the ball for just like 2 hours with his little cousins and we were able to take them to a very cute restaurant. They had some meals and then I went back home.
Now, are you experiencing fatigue at this point?
Yeah.
You know,
Extreme fatigue. Um, the fatigue is so bad. Like oh my goodness, it's so bad. It's so bad. You even feel like you're not trying enough. So you really want to push your body. You really want to, but it's just like I don't know what chemo does to the body, but it's just really bad.
yeah.
You cannot fight it. You cannot fight it. But God's grace carried me for just that birthday. I was able to at least make his day special. I was like, thank goodness. And then my fourth chemo hit me hard. Oh, it hit me so hard, put me down for 10 days. And I was able to rest for the 3 weeks. And then now I was going to the chemo light, the Texel. And I was told, listen, you did so well. You tried your best. You're going to the easier chemo now. This one is weekly. It's not so bad. For me, I was like, you know what? I'm only going to believe this when I see it because I have seen it all.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, cool. Started the Texol. Now this was around June, July, August, June. Yes. So started this in June and literally I went for the first dose. I just passed out during the chemo because I didn't know there's something that they give you. I forgot what it's called. One of the drugs. It puts you out. You go. Like you can't, you're not dreaming, you're not thinking, yeah. So it put me out. I sleep. I struggle to wake up. Every time they have to wake me up, they struggle. So they decide to just let me sleep until I'm able to just wake up on my own, which never really happens. So they have to wake me up at some point. But it's always very difficult. And then I'll get home. They'll push me with a wheelchair. My husband will pick me up, bring me home. Immediately I get home, I just pass out. I sleep. I'll sleep the whole day, wake up around this time. That's when I feel stronger, conscious, better. And then, the next day I wake up and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm okay. And then the following day comes and you're like, okay, I'm still fine. Okay, I'm still going. And then I notice on Fridays, because I always go on Mondays, on Fridays, the fatigue hits me. So on Fridays, for some reason, I'll be extremely exhausted. I need to sleep. So then I'll be asleep. So with the Taxol, it really has been a cruising journey. I've been able to move around, started a small business, selling some clothes, weaves as well. And it really has been good to do that, being busy, being able to move around, because it kind of helps me not overthink. So I know there was a day I was in chemo and I was on Instagram and I always see these Instagram reels, and there's always these dances that they do. And I was like, you know what? I want to actually stand up and do a dance. So I actually just stood up. I took the table next to me, just put it up on like by the window, because there was a spot that I always stand by. So for some reason, every time I go to chemo, there's no one there. And it's so bright. So that day when I walked in, there was this light that was literally coming towards the chair. It was so bright. And I don't know, I just took the table, I put it there, and I started doing a dance during my chemo with the pipe hanging and with the thing where they hang the drips and stuff. I pulled that, I put it next to me. I stood there and I was just like doing this dance, and it just blew up. It went crazy. People were just like, what? We've never seen anything like this before. You're so positive. How do you do it? And I told them, and I remember the caption was, misery likes company. And I'm done. I'm out of that space. I'm no longer giving misery any company, because I feel like I'm making this journey longer for myself just by being miserable. Sometimes I wake up and I don't want to go to chemo, and I'm dragging my feet, and I walk in there and I'm just like, I just get in there and I just like wait, and I go and sit down, and then they just put it. So now that day I had to change the way I think, the way I see this. It really changed my life. That big moment changed.
At that point, then, so how many treatments did you have left? That I think what's really interesting here is that you started the podcast of women empowerment, and you're the person that they're being drawn to, and then you experience this so shortly after you start. So what you're doing here, we're seeing on Instagram, that's where we saw you, and we were attracted to you as well. Just like you said, it went viral. So how many more treatments did you have left? And that support that you mentioned earlier, you didn't have much of. I would assume that shifted quite a bit for you with being
Did.
an inspiration to others with your behavior, obviously your courage and your ability to take a very sad situation and make it bright.
It really did a lot for me. Like I said, when how you take something and how you deal with it says a lot about you and does a lot for you. And I say this because that moment when I decided to change how I take this journey, everything just shifted. A lot of people were already trying to be there for me. Now and again, I'd get inboxes, people just sending words of encouragement, Bible verses, someone who sent a voice note of prayer. It kind of really helped. It strengthened me. It kept me going. And I often hear this word, you inspire me, you inspirational, your story, you're phenomenal, how you doing this. But the words inspiration, it kind of got to a point where inspiration became a bit of a toxic word for me because it was putting me on a pedestal where I was like so exposed to being seen as strong so much so that I could not break down. So I was scared to show any side of me that was not okay because I felt like I was failing a lot of people. So I was panicking and I was all over the place. But I remember I did like a short message and I was like, guys, I appreciate the fact that so many people look up to me. I get so many questions. People will share their problems with me during that time. And I have to get the courage, the strength to be able to respond and be there, comfort someone who is thinking of committing suicide because things are not going well with the boyfriend. People just start telling you their stories and everything. And I'm like, I have to put myself together. I'm running ladies checking in. I've given people that space and platform to say, you can talk to me anytime. And I always say that you can talk to me anytime. Sometimes I'll have a breakdown, cry, wipe my tears off, stand in the mirror and say, it's going to be okay. And then smile and then now I'm able to be there for someone, talk to them and just show them that support. And, it really has been an honor to be able to still be strong, still care about others during my troubles, my struggles, where I don't have much support. But people on social media became such a great support. And I was so grateful for that. Okay, this little guy is such a problem. So it became really something I became extremely grateful for because I have a family now.
Mhm.
um, listen, I will never like underestimate the power of social media when you have the right attitude, when you approach it the right way. I know people were scared for me to say people are bullies. Some people will really give to you. Some people will make you feel like what you're doing is just in vain. And I had to make a decision to say, I don't care. I really literally don't care what people think or what people say. Um, I really had that faith in myself and I went out there. No one has said anything bad to me ever since I started this journey. No one has ever said anything to make me feel somehow. I literally have been going through the most positive comments, literally all the way.
That,
And that has pushed me to be stronger for more podcasts as well.
you're so courageous. Your strength is fantastic.
If you have a story to share, tell us. How are you going to leave your mark? Contact us. Leave your mark with our host, Vince Cortese. Be our guest.
I want to ask you, with this being your last treatment, you're on the other side of this now. It's playing in the rearview mirror of your life.
Yeah.
What part of this experience are you moving forward with that you like about yourself the most?
It's so crazy. I was just speaking to this other lady and she was asking me, how do you feel? I didn't sleep last night. Couldn't sleep. I was so overwhelmed. I had so much anxiety. I had so much happiness and fear in me. Um, and I purely say this because it just felt so real. It's just so real that just not like it just feels like yesterday I was on 1 of 16. And yesterday to say I'm on 16 of 16, it felt so unreal. It felt like a dream, like someone was just gonna come and teach me and say, it's only just a dream. You still have a long way to go. And for me, it was so, I don't know, was just so grateful. And I look back and I'm like, who is this girl? I go through my Instagram and I'm like, who is this girl? And I remember just on Sunday, I posted and I said, tomorrow, which was Monday, is my last day of chemo. Please wear pink just in support. And if you can just share the pictures with me, um, just to show some love, just to brighten up my day. Oh my Lord, listen, on Monday morning, literally around, because I think I woke up around 6 a.m. I had people posting pictures, literally tagging me. It was the craziest thing. I did not expect that much. I did not expect what the parties to pay, but it was so crazy. I was just breaking down the whole day yesterday to say, listen, guys, I don't even know what to say. I just wish I had something to do for everybody just to say thank you, because I'm so I'm so used to helping people that also with this journey, it was so hard to receive,
Yeah.
so hard to receive people being there for me. It was so weird being in the receiving side when I'm usually on the giving side of things. And I had to learn in this whole journey to learn to receive, to allow people to take care of me, to allow myself to be vulnerable, to break, to say it's okay, you are human. And somehow think God put me through this to allow me to be taken care of, to be vulnerable, which is something I hate, to show any sign of weakness. But I felt it's unfair for people to trust me so much with their battles and struggles, yet I wouldn't want to let them into my very vulnerable space. I just felt like it was a bit unfair, so I had to literally let go a bit and let the hair loose. No pun intended, with no hair, with no hair on my head.
Well, I mean, it's courageous of you because I mean, you got your scar there from your port and your hair's gone right now, and it's a tough time, but
Yeah.
you're on the back side of it now that you'll get all of this back and you get to be normal again. What I would like to ask you at this point is, how would you like to leave your mark in this world?
I said, I don't know, I think I said this to my husband, and I said, if I died today, I think I'd be at peace because I've I've left quite a mark. I've left quite a mark, and I've underestimated my strength. I've underestimated who I am. I've I just I don't think I've given myself enough credit for anything that I've ever done. And I'm so proud of myself. I'm so
Sure.
proud of myself. I think I've done what I could do best. I've always been this person who said, I don't ever want to be on Instagram just because I dress nice, just because I eat nice food, just because I'm just traveling. Um, but I want to do something that impacts people in a way that makes them feel worthy, something that makes them feel like, you know, life is not at all bad. Everyone is going through something. We are all going through something. Whether you think your problem is bigger or smaller than someone else's, I feel like everybody's problem is valid. But when I was going through my journey, the fact that people would say, you know what, I'm going through something, and I just looked at you going through cancer, and you're doing it with such a big smile, with so much positivity. You still just smiling and laughing, and that for me is enough to say everything's going to be okay. And I just changed how I look at life, and I just changed how I receive things, and that for me is enough. I've done it. I'd like to leave a bigger mark.
Oh, I believe
um,
I was spared. I was so Your
I'd love to
your
leave a bigger mark.
it's going to be heard by millions more, I'm sure. Your energy
My
is fantastic. I'm getting excited listening to you. And here, we need a bell noise here. We got to ring the bell. You.
Yeah, you're interested in as well.
I'm
So proud of
so glad to
myself.
be able to celebrate this with you, knowing that your treatment's
Thank
over.
you. I did.
I can't
I
thank you
did.
enough for sharing your story with us. And I do want to help promote what you're doing. So just quickly give me where your podcast can be found, and we'll put it in on the social media as well on our end. But I would like for you to share with us now.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's available on Apple. It's available on Google. It's available on Spotify. You just take Lady Checking In. Also, there's a link in my bio. It's FEY underscore breast cancer underscore warrior. That's my handle. So on my bio, there's my link to the podcast. So it takes you straight to whatever platform your phone allows. So it's available on Android and Apple.
That's fantastic. I wanted you got me all fired up. I'm so excited for you.
I'm so glad to hear that. I'm so glad. Thank you so much for having me. I know in my perfect world, I own an orphanage. in my perfect world. So if God can do something for me, is help me build or have an orphanage. That's the biggest thing I think I want with all my life.
I see that in your future. I truly see that in your future. You're
Thank you.
powerful woman. Very powerful.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you for coming by. We're definitely going to stay in touch with you and see what you're doing.
I appreciate that so much.
You're most welcome.
Thanks for listening to Leave Your Mark today. Tune into our next episode of Leave Your Mark with Vince Cortese. Be blessed.
You just left your mark. Thanks for listening. Listen to more episodes on demand. Just click Leave Your Mark with Vince Cortese.